Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Morning Musings. Glad y'all could join us today on Sunday, April 13th. Hope everyone is doing well. Um, Not a whole lot new going around here today. I mean, I'm just the same stuff I'm always doing, working on my truck or out in the shop or with the bees, stuff like that. So, first off, shout out to our sponsors, um, Hatching Time and Gopher Ridge Quail. As you know, both these sponsors donate prizes to give away each week on the live streams. So big shout out to them. Really appreciate it. Um, for those of you who are interested in Gopher Ridge quail eggs off his website, he has a current special going on, 20% off special if you use the code CC20. I'm going to put that over in the chat room. Let's see where to go here. There it is right there. CC20. That'll get you 20% off of anything that you order over on Gopher Ridge Quail's website. So check them out. Um, as far as HP's eggs go, you couldn't ask for anything better. The last batch of eggs he sent me for the incubator comparison video, we got a 71% hatch rate. So that's unbelievable. So anyhow, thank you very much to our sponsors. Really appreciate it. Speaking of sponsors, we've got a new incubator sponsor, actually, a couple new incubator sponsors for the kids program. Um, for the past better than a year, Jennifer over at Bryant's Roost has been supplying an incubator for the kids, and we really appreciate it. And we decided we're going to share the load with other sponsors because Jennifer's been doing it for such a long time. But anyhow, the new sponsors who are going to share the incubator duties is Stellar Game Birds and Sugar Feather Farm. So I appreciate both of them sponsors stepping up. They are doing a it's for a good cause, for the kids program. But the reason we have two incubator sponsors is so they can kind of share the load. They don't have to, each one buy an incubator every single month. So big shout out to them, Stellar Game Birds and Sugar Feather Farm. Really appreciate it. As far as the Coturnix Kids program, if you got kids that are interested in, signing up for that or joining that, head on over to coturnixcorner.com. And at the top of the page, there's a link that says Coturnix Kids Program. Click on that, and that will give you all the basic information, to help get your kids entered into the program. The nice thing about the program is once they enter, they're entered for good. They don't have to re-enter. As a matter of fact, I think either our last winner or the winner before that, their entry was over a year old. And our judges go through and they read the entries and pick one. So, like I say, you're not going to get buried in the stack of paperwork, you might say. The kids, stand a very good chance of getting selected. So, all right, let's see, where are we at here? We are going to be doing some giveaways for today's live stream. Obviously, Gopher Ridge Quail every week gives us a 30 count of hatching eggs to one lucky winner, and hatching time gives us a $50 hatching time gift certificate. Are you eating your food, Cuckoo? Good girl. Um, Hatching Time gives us a $50 gift certificate for you guys to spend on their website any way that you like. So if you are interested in being in the drawing for that, you know what? Matter of fact, I think we changed it. We're not doing the regular drawing. We are doing the drawing through the website. So you have to enter if you want to win the hatching eggs. Enter um, hashtag, which is the tic tac toe sign above the number 3 on your keyboard. Um, Hashtag Gopher Ridge, all one word. Make sure you spell it correctly. And if you want to win the Hatching Time gift certificate, hashtag Hatching Time. And we'll do that if I can remember how to do it. It's been a while. We'll do that later on in the show and select a couple new winners. That way, it's kind of fair. I don't have to pick them, and I don't have to remember anything as far as if you've won before. We're going to let the AI selector select you guys, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so we got people already entering that. As far as last week, Tuesday, we were supposed to go live with Brian from Castle Hives. He was coming in to talk about bees. Um, Something came up which couldn't be avoided, so we had to reschedule that live stream. It is now scheduled for April 22nd. So if you're interested in bees, um, check out that live stream. And I do want to ask you guys. I've got some other beekeepers in mind. One's Brian's like a hobbyist beekeeper, but I've got another one that is more of a leaning towards commercial or sideliner, and I'm thinking of contacting her and seeing if she'd be interested in doing a live stream. But I wanted to reach out to you guys first and see um, what you thought about adding bees into the live stream. Is there enough people in the group who are interested in bees? Um, I know there's a few that do keep bees, and I know there's a few that are interested. But you know, I don't want to. I don't want people to think that we're switching from a quail channel to a bee channel, because that's not what we're doing. But if you'd be interested in in seeing a couple other people talk about keeping bees and how to get started in bees, let me know. Just comment over here in the chat room, and let me know, and I'll schedule some other guests. Otherwise, I'll just see what quail guest I could find, which that seems to be a little bit difficult. And then again, I want to say that next week, Sunday, I'm not going to be going live on the morning musings because it is Easter Sunday. So I won't be going live Easter Sunday, but I believe next week, Tuesday, is Brian from Castle Hive. So check us out for that. All right, real quick, while you guys are sitting over there typing and stuff, I got to look up the link for the picker. All right, I'm getting there as long as I can find the link to it. In a new tab, open the StreamYard giveaway page. Okay, there we are. Cool. Choose the live stream, morning musings. All right, we've got that one in there. Actually, let me do the hatching time first. All right, while I am doing this, if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them over in the chat room, and we're going to go over there right now and see who all's in the house and maybe answer a few questions. Oh, cool! I see a few people that are interested in getting bees, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, I really like the bees, guys. I know my brother-in-law and sister up Michigan. He just talked to me last week. Said they're thinking seriously about getting some bees, so I thought that would be pretty cool. All right, who's in the house today? I hope I covered everything I wanted to cover. I believe I did. All right, we have Jared in the house. Says, "Hey, y'all, glad you could join us, Jared." Necro Kitties made it this week. Hey, 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 glad you could join us. Tony's in the house. Says, "Good morning." Marie says, "Morning, everyone. Glad you could join us, Marie." Southern Biophiliacs in the house says, "Good morning." Good morning, I guess, ladies, because I don't know if it's Leah or Rebecca. Chantel's in the house. Says, "Good morning." Morning, Chantel. I hope you got your incubator stuff figured out. And again, I apologize for not including the wire for the hatching basket. And if you need that, let me know. I will get that out to you. Let's see. Ashley says, "Good morning." Good morning, Ashley. Glad you could join us. Tater Farm's in the house. Good morning from a gorgeous day in central Georgia. Cool. Yeah, it's beautiful here too. I went outside this morning to let the dogs out and it was kind of chilly, but that's nice. I love that. But the sun's shining, so that's all that matters. Maury Straubel's in the house. Says good morning, everyone. Glad you could join us, Maury. Nadia, 21, says good morning. Morning, Nadia. Eric's in the house. Says good morning or morning. Costello Hobby Farm says morning from Alabama. Sweet home, Alabama. Snoopy Stack says hello from Pennsylvania. Glad you could join us. Data Farm says hatching out 55 flowery hens this morning. 1 out of 2 so far. Fingers and toes crossed. Speaking of hatching out, and congratulations, Data Farm. That's really cool. And good luck on the rest of your hatch. Speaking of hatching out, I had 10 out of 11 Brahma chicken eggs hatched yesterday. And oh my gosh, those chicks are huge. I can imagine what they're going to be like fully grown. But no, it was really cool. I got my Brahmas hatched out, so that's another project I'll be working on. And then I got yesterday quite a surprise. A package of eggs came in, and I'm like, I didn't order any eggs, and it was from Rebecca over at Thieving Otter Farm. So Rebecca, appreciate that very much. Um, I'm going to have fun with that project. Definitely going to have fun with it. So thanks again for sending those. Mike Garrett's in the house says good morning from Edgewater, Florida. Glad you could join us, Mike. Promised Land Homestead says good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a blessed morning. You too. Butterfly Me Away says got my Gopher Ridge quail eggs in the incubator now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, HP. Absolutely. That's right. You were a winner not too long ago. All right. Redneck Aquatic says good morning from deep East Texas. Glad you could join us. Don's in the house says good morning from South Mississippi. Glad you could join us, Don. Papa says hello all. First time catching a live. Well, I'm glad you could join us. Brand new to quail. Haven't even hatched my first egg yet. Been watching replays. Cool. Papa, you are in for a very addictive hobby. It seems like you start out with just a few, and pretty soon you got a few hundred. So that's the way it goes with Coturnix. A Buns Life says good evening from the Philippines. Cool. Glad you could join us. Hilltop Honey says good morning. Bluegrass, Kentucky, BG, Kentucky. I don't know what that is. But welcome, Hilltop Honey. CF Decom says good morning from North Carolina. Good morning. Andy Rabbit's in the house says good morning. Glad you could join us this week, Andy. Panda Bunny 20 says good morning. Glad you could join us. Andy Rabbit says the drawing through a random picker. Absolutely. That is what we are going to be doing on all the live streams now. That way, I don't have to worry about selecting someone that hasn't been chosen or has been chosen, or we'll let the picker do it. Okay, we've got a whole bunch of people commenting Gopher Ridge and hatching time. Lordy, 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 a whole bunch of people. Dane says, I picked up some eggs from HP yesterday and spent an hour and a half just talking about quail and life in general. Always enjoy my visits with HP and learn a lot. Yeah, I would love to get up there, especially now. HP's working on that brooder barn. I'd love to be able to get up there, and spend a couple days, helping him out. I talked to HP. I don't remember. Maybe it was on the last live stream, and he was saying that he's doing it all on his own. And I'm like, Lord, he's ambitious. I can tell you that much. Promised Land Homestead said, thinking of adding bees would be great. We're getting ready to get another nuke. Cool. Yeah, I kind of changed I won't say my method of keeping bees, but when I first started out, I did the same thing. I would, go out and buy a nuke or buy a package of bees and get them going. The following year after that, I got into swarm trapping, which I still do that. But I figured, if I'm going to get bees, I might as well get them free. And this year, I'm really getting into um, doing splits and creating my own queens from either swarm cells or emergency cells, um, and it's working out great. I mean, I started out this year with two queen right colonies, and I'm up to 13 now, I believe, 12 or 13. So, and that's just this year, so it happens quick. Marie says, I have bees, and I think that would be great to have a discussion about beekeeping. Cool. Tony says, what's the reason for keeping bees? Just for the honey? For most people, yeah, it is just for the honey, but there are other income streams that you can make off of bees. You can sell queens. You can make splits and sell, like nukes, like who was it that said that they just had a nuke? Um, Promise Land Homestead. So yeah, there are several reasons. Honey, I mean, I don't do it for the money. I just enjoy keeping bees. And it's funny because my dad, before he passed away, he always kept bees. And I kid you not, for probably 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, he had been trying to get me, to get interested in bees. And he sent me books and whatnot, and yeah, I paged through them, but I didn't really, get interested in them. And probably the biggest reason I wasn't interested in them was back then I was scared to death of bees. I mean, I've been stung by wasps and stuff several times, but I don't know. I was always afraid that I was going to get attacked by bees. I guess when you see that garbage on TV, about the killer bees and stuff, and the Africanized bees coming up from down south, um, you got to get past that and over that because they exist, but with the programs that they've got set up, like in Texas and here in Florida, um, it's not really Africanized bees is not that big of an issue anymore. Um, of all the swarms and stuff that I caught, 0% of them were Africanized or even the least bit aggressive. So yeah, that's not an issue. CF Deacon says coupon code didn't work for Go for Ridge. Um, okay, well we'll contact HP and it's CC20. I'm pretty sure. Let me look on Facebook on his. Maybe I got the code wrong. Go for Ridge. It says unlock exclusive deals on premium quail products today. Visit goforridgequail.com. Take advantage of our limited time offer, 20% off with a code CC lowercase 20 and elevate your farming experience. So that's it. It is CC20. Just try it in lowercase. If it still doesn't work, reach out to HP and let them know. Brian Allen's in the house. Says good morning from Alabama. Glad you could join us, Brian. Snoopy Stack says, when do you transition off of starter crumble to layer feed? I usually wait until the first egg are laid, unless it's a time like where the daylight hours are really short, winter months, and I know that they should be laying. Then I'll transition them over. Then usually around 8 to 10 weeks. Um, but yeah, just watch when your birds start laying eggs. It's time to put them on a layer feed. Southern Biophiliac says yes, bees. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's going to be Leah in here then, because Leah's a beekeeper. Um, yeah, I'm really interested to see what these bee guests are going to have to say. I watch them every week. They've got YouTube channels that I am, constantly watching. And yeah, I just reached out to him. And like I say, Brian, he was, very excited about coming on. And I got a couple other ones in mind. I've already got emails sent out to him. I'm just waiting to hear back from him. Necro Kitty says, I don't mind learning about bees. I can't have them now, but in the future would be nice. Yeah, that's very smart. Learn about them, and that could help you make your decision whether you want to get into them or not. Steve says, I would love to have content on bees. Cool. Anna Bishop's in the house. Says hello from Minnesota. Panda Bunny says, I'd love to learn about bees. Cool. And I knew it. It is Leah. Kind of figured it was. Tater Farm says, I don't have bees myself, but I'm always open to learning new things related to homesteading. Cool. Yeah, and a lot of homesteaders keep bees. The nice thing about the bees is it's almost something that, depending on the method of keeping that you want to do, there's a lot of keepers that do, it's called treatment-free beekeeping. And you don't do anything. You get your bees set up and you let the bees be bees and do what they want to do. Um, I did that last year, and I still have two hives that are treatment free here now. But all my other hives are the mini splits, and they really don't need treating because they're so small. They haven't had time to build up, a mite load or anything. So Dane says, I had bees last year, lost them over the winter, but planning to try again. Yeah, a lot of people lost bees this past winter. Something going around. I don't know what it is. I don't even think the experts know. But Chantel says it's good. Thanks. Okay, appreciate it, Chantel. And like I said in the email, if you have any other questions, feel free to pick up the phone and call me. You don't have to email. You can call me, and I'll do what I can to help you work it out. Kurt says, yes, please add bees into the live stream just starting up this year. Cool. Well, I don't know that we're going to add bees to the live stream. Like, I'm not going to start doing, bee videos and stuff. But, every once in a while, I'll throw a bee guest in there and maybe some other type of guest, maybe even gardening, people that are heavy into gardening and whatnot, kind of like a homesteading channel. But I don't want to get away too far away from quail because it is Coturnix corner. So, J4J Cypher says, morning. It's 11:15 over here in the Netherlands. Cool. Glad you could join us. Yeah, I haven't seen Klaus in here. I think Klaus is mad because we keep picking on him every time he comes in here. We want to get him and Allie together and have them do a live stream. But Tony says, I did have some bees way back when. I housed them in a 20-gallon fish tank in my bedroom. No, thank you. They would fly out the window through tubing. Yeah, I've seen some people that have had observation hives. I don't think I would trust it. I mean, I know what I go through out there in the bee yard, and I couldn't imagine having something like that happen here in the house. Speaking of Allie, Confetti Quail says, good morning. Good morning, Allie. Glad you could join us. Nadia says, heat plate or heat lamp. I've read so many different options, I can't decide. Yeah, that's kind of a controversial topic. I know a lot of people that use both. I personally use heat lamps. Um, I have used a heat plate before, but I didn't really care for it. One, because I can't see the chicks because they're underneath the heat plate, and two, I don't know if they're comfortable, if they're in that comfortable range. With a heat lamp, I can see all the birds. I can see where they are in the brooder, and uh, if they're huddled under the light, I know they're cold. If they're at the far end of the brooder, I know they're hot, and I make adjustments for them. Um, the heat plate, another reason I don't really care for myself is I can't tell when it's on, other than that little red LED that was on the top of the one that I had. Um, when that was on, supposedly it was heating. With a heat lamp, I can look if the lamp's off, it's not heating. So it's just me. I know a lot of people that do like the heat plates. I would suggest, Nadia, that you try both of them out and decide for yourself which one you think is better. Costello Hobby Farm says, I have quail eggs in the incubator that need to go into lockdown later this week and due to hatch, but we'll be in Minnesota for Easter. Glad we have a good neighbor to help. Yeah, that's good that you do have a neighbor and one that you can trust. So good deal. Excuse me, I need a drink here. Okay, Ashley says, I've been hatching a variety of things from different breeds of quail, some geese. Oh, geese would be so cool. A few chickens and different pheasant eggs just went in. Nice. Hilltop Honey says, I think that would be a great idea. A lot of newbies out there. Yeah, that's cool. Twisted Garrett Farms in the house this morning, everyone. Been splitting hives all day yesterday. Cool. Yeah, I went out. I had to go out and a couple of my new mini nukes, I had to put feeders on them. But other than that, I'm just waiting on. I've got a bunch of hives where I'm waiting on queens to return from the mating flight and queens that have already returned but haven't started laying, stuff like that. Panda Bunny says, waiting for my thieving otter farm eggs. Very excited. Cool. CJ Sanders says, morning. Glad you could join us, CJ. Negro Kitty says, I got mealworms from hatching time. We'll be raising them for quail. Any advice the regular mealworm videos don't cover? To be honest with you, I can't help you out there. I did do mealworms 20 plus years ago when I was into reptiles. I didn't do them very long, um, but I did raise some for like my bearded dragons and the leopard geckos and whatnot. But I don't really remember. I want to say I kept them in bran. It's been so long, I would have to look it up. But yeah, uh, keep searching, I guess, online, see if you can find anything. Or if anybody in the group knows anything, comment. CWH number one says, good morning from a beautiful 61-degree eastern New Mexico. Yeah, that is nice. That's beautiful weather. Glad you could join us. Tony says the large heat plates are better. Okay, there you go. Data Farm says 52 in the chat right now. Please hit that like button. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. Let me see what we got. I'm showing 4 likes, but if I refresh the screen over there, it's up to 17. So hit the like button, guys. Doodlebug Farm says maybe discuss bees would help me not fear them. Yeah, if you're nervous about them, yeah, discussing them will be. But I'll tell you what, when I got my first couple nukes, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I was so new. The only thing I knew was what I saw on YouTube videos, and um, once I got them home and I let them sit for a little while, then I cracked the box open and moved them out of the 5 framers into 10 framers. It wasn't that bad. I'm like, yeah, this. I was just doing everything that I saw online, but now I'm getting a lot more comfortable to where I can go out there with either just a veil on and some gloves. I very seldom wear my full suit anymore, just because I have a pretty good idea of what the bees are doing. Um, but you learn to kind of understand the bees. Like if you have a hive that is queenless, yeah, they could be a little bit more grumpy. Or if you're in the middle of a dearth where they don't have food and they're trying to protect what little they have, they might be a little bit grumpier then. Or if you accidentally smush a bee and kill one, that can get them riled up. But for the most parts, I think they're pretty calm and easy to work. Chantel says Poultry Nets has a podcast on mealworms. There you go. Is that Poultry Nets or Poultry Nerds? Oh yeah, your next comment, nerd. Sorry. Yeah, that's Bryant Spruce and Carrie Blackman. Bryant Spruce, Jennifer Bryant and Carrie Blackman. Yeah, check that out. Costello Hobby Farms' question: if I'm going to put 20 quail in an aviary, how big should it be? Could I make it big, or the more room, the better? I have 25 right now on my aviary, which is 10 by 12, and I could easily put another 25 in there. The nice thing about having all that extra room in there, and I have hide spots and whatnot. Um, my birds in the aviary look better than any bird that I ever kept in a cage. I mean, they have all their feathers. Their the conformation just seems a whole lot better to me. I mean, when I look at these birds, they look amazing. Um, Mainly because a lot of birds that I kept inside in my cages. Some of the heads were missing feathers. The hens were missing feathers on the back of their head, or even on their back. From the rooster mounting them. Um, I don't see none of that out in my aviary. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying the aviary now. Micro Kitty. I don't know what is that. A cat? I hit the wrong one there. Doodlebug says I have 24 Coturnix eggs going. Hopeful lockdown starts April 21 from Mason, Arizona. Cool. Good luck on your hatch. Sexton Outdoors says hello everyone. Glad you could join us. Wow, we went through those comments pretty darn quick. I am down to the bottom of the list unless my computer's not updating over there. Let me look and see what this one says. Tater Farm says, Terry, oops, you skipped a bunch of comments just under my comment about hitting the like button. Okay, I will go back up there. Thank you, Tater Farm. I thought I got down to the bottom awful quick. Jared says, have you ever thought about keeping other birds of quail like button or bobwhite? Years ago, I did, yes. But now, um, now, no, I don't. One, I don't have very much room here. I'm on like a quarter of an acre. It's a little bitty lot, and so I don't have a whole lot of room. And I just made half of my backyard, well, maybe a third of my backyard is a bee yard, So no, I'll probably just stick with what I have. And I mean, I did just hatch out 10 Brahma chickens. So what am I going to do with those 10 monster birds when they grow up? I don't know, but we'll see. Dane says, Terry, you said you used to raise reptiles. I used to breed leopard geckos, and you can choose the sex of the offspring by incubation temperature. Too bad you can't do that with quail. Yeah, absolutely. That would be cool. Um, yeah, when I raised reptiles, I actually worked for a company called Glades Herp down here in Florida. I worked with Bill Love and Kathy Love. Did a lot of work for them. And a lot of my friends are reptile people from either working with them at Glades or some of the other reptile shops in the area. But yeah, I really got into it. I had me and my wife when we had bearded dragons. We had close to about 600 at one time, and I actually built my whole backyard was built with these big long pens that were about I don't know maybe 24 inches high and 8 feet long by 4 feet wide, and we just had bearded dragons everywhere. My wife she was the hatcher. I'd bring in the eggs, she'd put them in the incubator, and hatch them out. But um, we went up to Daytona, the big Daytona Reptile Expo, and pretty much sold out everything. And then you know after that we kind of got out of them. But yeah, I've had everything from pythons, boas, all kinds of different lizards. I was actually one of the first people, and you can find the article on kingsnake.com, to successfully captive breed Xena gamma taylori, which is the shield tail agama. That was really cool. My boss from Glades brought him in, and he said, "Hey, take these home and see what you can do with them." And Chantel said, "I used to raise breed poison dart frogs. I used to keep red-eyed tree frogs." Cool. A lot of people into reptiles too. All right, let me go back up to Tater Farm. Let's see. Said he was talking about the hit the like button. Okay, there's one that I remember. All right. Papa says just finished building my hutch, 4.5 feet by 8.5 feet. One side is large space for egging hens. The other side is sectioned into three for three separate breeding groups. Very cool. Yeah, that ought to do you good. Andy says HP is pretty cool. He has some really good wisdom. He does. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for HP. Chris says, good morning. Finally caught the live. Glad you could make it. Chantel says, I'm always down to learning new things. I'm obsessed with the quail, but the quailology courses are melting my brain right now. Yeah, they'll do that. Michael is very sciency, but he's got a lot of great information. I've been through pretty much everything that he's put out on the course, and it's taught me a lot. But like you say, you're lucky that Chantel, you look pretty young. my brain doesn't retain things like it used to. So, um, yeah, no, Michael's got a uh, great course. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are interested in that course, it's Quailology. I'm going to put a link in here if I can spell. Quailology.com. We just moved him. It used to be over on my server, which was CC Quail, and it used, or, yeah, CC Quail. But Michael, I think it was last year, he got that new domain and he finally got it set up. So if you do end up going to ccquail.com, I set up a forwarder. It'll automatically send you over to quailology.com. But yeah, check it out. For those of you who are wanting to get into the in depth, like in genetics and the sciencey end of keeping quail, there's a lot of great info over there. Twisted Garrett's Farm says, wish me could or stay, lots of work that needs to get done. Oh, wish I could stay every day. Have a great day. Appreciate you joining us, Gage. By the way, my dogs are out of your treats. They loved them. I was giving them the jerky every time I had to do something where the dogs deserved a treat. That was the treat that they got, and they're loving it. I'm going to have to try to make some of that. Money Acres Homestead says cold in New York. Burr, you can keep that. Andy Rabbit says the guy down the road from me keeps bees. They like coming to my yard to find pollen and drink. Cool. Believe it or not, in the dearth, when there's hardly any pollen out, if you've got bees, if you've got quail outside to where the bees can get to them, they'll actually start taking feed from the food trough of the quail. I guess there's enough in there to where they can, when they're hungry, obviously they're going to go for pollen first, but they will actually go to your quail feeder and, start taking probably the dust particles and whatnot that are in there. Data Farm says, Terry, who have your mentors been over the years in bees, your favorite websites or Facebook pages that you follow? As far as live streams go, I watch, it's called the Stream Team, and Brian will be talking about that when he comes on the live stream. It's 3 beekeepers. You got a commercial beekeeper, a sideliner beekeeper, and a hobbyist beekeeper. And they do a really great live. I mean, they get like 300 people watching their live streams. But there's a lot of great information that they give out every week. So I watch them. Those are the lives I watch. As far as channels, I like Cayman Reynolds. He's out of Tennessee. He's really good. Bob Binney, he's another good one. And most of these guys are commercial keepers that I watch. I'm trying to think if there's any hobbyists. I do watch Castle Hives. He's a hobbyist channel. One of the people that I've got a email out to that I'm trying to get to come on the show runs. It's called Bee Fit Beekeeping. It's BEEFIT Beekeeping, and she's out of Michigan. And just following her whole story, she's kind of new. I won't say new. She's been in it She's been in it longer than me, but just watching her go through the whole beekeeping thing year to year. She shows her the troubles that she has, and her and her boyfriend are kind of teaming up. This year, they're actually expanding their operation and sending bees out to California for pollination. So yeah, it's neat to see them come from just a couple hives to being a semi-commercial thing. Darlene says, new here from Connecticut. Glad you could join us, Darlene. Marines in the house says, new to quail, just wondering what's the safest heights for hutch and aviary. Whatever you can access safely. You don't want to be standing on ladders and what's not. Oh, wait a minute. I know what you mean. I'm sorry. I thought you meant for the whole aviary. The aviary doesn't matter. That can be, like mine is 6 foot on the front where I go in, and then it goes down to 5 foot on the back. For hutches, try to keep the inside height, under 16 inches. I know like HP Murray, he keeps them even lower than that. He's got them down like, 10 and 12 inches. and that's basically just to keep the birds from flushing and going up, hitting their head, and breaking their neck or whatever. So yeah, I thought you were talking about overall height. If you are talking about overall height, make sure it's not too high to where you can't comfortably reach it, and you don't have to stand on a little step ladder or something to get into the top row of cages. So cover myself on both ends of them. And he says if you do a show on bees, you should talk about for people that don't have bees but don't mind having them come visit. What's up with the whole wall covered in bees? um, yeah, I think you're right. Matter of fact, Brian, the guy that's coming on first, he is going to be talking about getting started with bees, what you can expect, um, where to source your bees from, stuff like that. So, what's up with the whole wall covered in bees? Papa says, question: how cold is too cold for quail? I live in Northeast Ohio. We have very erratic weather here, such as going from 70 to 31 at night. Okay, that you don't have to worry about. 70 in the day and 31 at night is no big deal. Bees can handle sub-zero temperatures. Bees, oh my lord, I've got bee on the brain. Quail can handle sub-zero temperatures as long as they can get out of the weather. They've got to be able to get out of the rain, out of the snow, out of the wind. Um, you know, but they can handle it. I know people who are up in Alaska, up in northern Canada, and they all keep quail outside or in a like a covered shed or something, um, and they do just fine. So yeah, don't worry about temps. Just make sure that your birds can get out of the weather. Andy says I agree 100% on the heat lamp. Yeah, I mean I had a discussion with that the other day with I believe it was Jennifer over at Bryant's Roost, either Jennifer or Anita Garrett. I'm not sure which. We were talking about it, and she leans more towards the heat plates, but I like the heat lamp just because, um, like I said before, I know when the heat lamp's working, and that's what I want to know. Nadia says, thanks. Any particular brand of heat lamp? I go to Walmart. I buy those cheap little 8 or 10 inch clamp lamps. Um, and then I usually run like a 100-watt bulb, which is it's actually a 72 watt halogen, um, and that works fine for me. I do have a really big heat lamp that's got a 250-watt red bulb in it that Premier, I think it was Premier Supply sent me. I used it maybe once or twice in the dead cold of winter when it got really cold, but I don't really care for that one because I've got to hang it up. It's got to be a lot higher than my brooder because it gets so hot. And I don't know. I don't care for those big, you know, heat lamps. I guess if you could find a heat lamp that's around 100 watts, that would be fine. Um, but like I say, watch your birds. The quail will tell you whether it's too hot or too cold. Muddy Acres Homestead says, I'm visiting Connecticut today. Cool. Enjoy your visit. Doodlebug Farm says, maybe discuss bees would help me not fear them. I think I read that one already. Okay, now I got to go back down to the bottom and find out where I left off at. Sexton Outdoors says, how many quail do you currently have? I have like 25 out in my aviary, and I just sold a handful of chicks that just hatched out to a buddy of mine. But I do have 2 incubators full of eggs, which will be hatching shortly. Um, yeah, I cut my quail operation way back. I used to have anywhere between 300 and 500 breeders, um, but they were indoors, kind of almost underneath. Well, they were under the roof of my house, but out in an enclosed carport. And it just got to where the dust and dander was too bad for me. And my wife's got COPD, so I didn't want to, I didn't want to chance it anymore. So we got rid of all the indoor stuff, and I just keep my quail outdoors now. Okay, I already had that one. Sean tells, love the tree frogs. Those eyes, yeah, those red-eyed tree frogs are crazy. Okay, here's the link to quailology.com. Marie says, we'll have to check Quailology. Now, for those of you who are interested, it is a paid course. It's for the information that he is sharing with you, it's well worth the investment because you won't find that much information anywhere online. Um, and there's a lot of information there that I want to say 99% of the people out there don't know. Even quail breeders that have been in it for a while. Like I say, it's very sciencey, but it's very um, educational. If you know it, it's will definitely help you out in your quail. Ashley says, I had one time I brought home a blue iguana. My husband said, don't start with the reptiles. So I got horses and hogs. Oh, yeah. And sheep and goats and a bunch more. Betty wishes you would let you keep the iguana. Yep, exactly. Reed Carson says, sorry I'm late. Chores and all. Understandable, but glad you could join us. Sexton Outdoors says, what do you get if I breed white to the wild type color? You're going to have basically a wild type pharaoh, or a wild type pharaoh, a pharaoh tuxedo. Electric Reset says, hey, what would you suggest as far as male to female ratio for the most fertility production? It's going to depend on your caging setup. If you're keeping them in, let's say, cages the size of like a hatching time cage, I'm not talking about the single individual units, but the full cage, which is, I think, 36 by 18. Um, you could get away with 15 hens, 3 roosters. I like doing if you want really high fertility, do a 3-to-1 ratio. If you want, or a 1-to-3 ratio, whatever you want to call it. You could actually go as high. I mean, I know some ladies out in Australia that they do a 1-to-10 ratio, 1 rooster for every 10 hens. So just expect that the lower ratios, your hens are going to get beat up a little bit more from just being overbred. CWH1, have you seen the YouTube girl getting bees from under the shed floor wearing flip flops and shorts? That one pops up on my Facebook feed all the time. I've never really watched the channel. I did watch that little short on Facebook. Um, yeah, I can guarantee that she went in there and she uh, tested the temperament of those bees before she decided to peel that board back and expose herself to bees like that. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, uh, professionals that work without a suit. Most of the time they'll throw a veil on just to keep the bees out of the face, and that's what bees will do. They'll come up out of the hive if they want to sting you. First thing they're going to go for is your face because that's what they would do, with a wild animal because that's the most tender spot. But yeah, so most of them wear a veil, and I'm finding that out in my yard too. Is as long as I've got a veil over my face, I'll have either shorts on or a short sleeve shirt, and they don't bother you. But yeah, you just always pay attention to the temperament before you decide you want to take your suit off. Electric Reset says, I've got 3 male and 8 female trying to figure out the perfect ratio for fertility and for my girls not to get beat up. I'm currently rotating my 3 boys trying to determine who's aggressive. Yeah, what I would do is I would select your best male and use him as your breeder. It's only eight hens, so just select your best. If you're breeding for like color or something, or the best one conformation wise, uh, use him and don't use a substandard male um, trying to figure out what bird's aggressive because then you're gonna end up hatching out stuff that you really don't want. Chantel says, I recently got some wood bark from outside that I was going to put in my pens for the quail to play with. Could that have lice or anything on it? Any way you could think I could clean it? I could it have lice? Possibly. Um, I've got all kinds of old dead tree branches and logs in my aviary, and I don't worry about it. I haven't seen any lice in my birds. As far as how you would clean it, um, I'm trying to think of the stuff that I used to spray my permethrin. You can get a 10% permethrin, dumb it down to about 1%, spray it down real heavy, and then let it sit outside. and dry out real good, for make like a day or so, and then put it in the cage and they'll do fine. And the rabbit says, I just got a new puppy yesterday. I want to get him on a raw food diet in a few months. I can see that. I thought about doing that, but I mean, I used to feed my dogs all quail. They ate quail all the time, but darn. And Cookie was going to give you one of her puppies, wherever Cookie is. Oh, she's back there sleeping. Panda Bunny says, I have an aviary set up to look like a Western town for my small covey. They seem to love it. Very cool. Chantel says, what about heat with quail? How hot is too hot? Um, Once they're out of the brooder, you don't need to worry about uh, any artificial heat. And as far as being outside, I'm in South Florida, and my birds withstand the heat of summer no problem. As long as they can get out of the direct sunlight, they're going to do fine. Um, I mean, we get some pretty hot temperatures down here. Upper 90s with a feels like temperature, well into the hundreds, and my birds do just fine. So Chesius, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry about that. What's the cheapest, most efficient way to a cool barn? A lot of people, this is back in the rabbit days, would put sprinklers up on top of the roof and just turn it on and let the water evaporate up off the roof, depending on what type of roof you got. If you got a wood roof, um, or a shingled roof or a tin roof, it works really well on tin. The water evaporating off the tin causes a cooling effect, and you could probably drop the temperature in there, 10, 15 degrees, I would imagine. Oh wow, look at this. Baba said, just want to say thanks for an invaluable education from all of you. $20. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. We normally don't get what do they call those things? Money. I'm trying to think of the word that what do they call it? Marie says, "What do you do to prepare your quail for hurricane season?" I'm in Louisiana. Really, there's not a whole lot you can do. Anything that I had outside, I would put them in carrying cages, and which is basically like a rabbit carrying cage that I built, and just bring them inside to get them out of the weather because it does get windy. Um, when Hurricane Ian came through, I believe it was Ian, my aviary actually got lifted up off the foundation and blown up against my privacy fence. And had I had birds in there, they would have all got out. So yeah, if you've got birds outdoors, I would definitely, bring them in unless the building that you have them in is, pretty sound. I would definitely get them into some place that's going to protect them from the weather. Bob Cole's in the house. Says howdy. Glad you could join us, Bob. Susan says I have lost all but one quail. They aged out. I love the little quail hut, Jackson, Michigan. Cool. Sorry you lost all but one. Time to start buying more, I guess. Hilltop Honey says David Burns is another good bee channel. YouTube plus he teaches bee classes too. Yeah, I used to watch David Burns, and I don't want to say anything negative about him because he does have a lot of great information, but he's a little bit too commercial, I guess you would say for me. I mean, I know all the information that he puts out is good information. I don't really care for the way he presents it. Put it that way. But yeah, he is another good channel to watch for those just getting started in bees. Negro Kitty says I'm actually shocked how friendly my quail are. I don't think I even earned this level of trust. Yeah, they can be friendly. Mine, the only time they were friendly with me was in the mornings when I go out to feed them. They're always, "What do you got? What do you got?" Papa says, "Thank you for all the comments and questions. I'm learning a lot right now." Absolutely. I'm glad you could join us today. Poultry Nerd says, "Good morning." Good morning, Poultry Nerds. We were talking about you guys earlier. All good. Cams and House is pretty day, a little chilly. Papa says, question, what's the biggest, safest weight a quail can get to? That's kind of a controversial subject. I mean, a lot of people breed for size and want, these big, massive birds. But, some of the people like Michael Rose and, some of the others, I'll call them professionals, say you don't really want to pack that much weight on the birds until they have the framework that can handle it, meaning, the legs, the good stout legs, the hips because of the egg size increase. Um, so, yeah, I myself, I don't breed for weight. My jumbos all average for, I would say, between 13 and 15 ounces or 15 ounces. So they're under a pound, but yeah, I don't push them. CF Decom says, have you seen any aggression between different colored quail? For instance, I have white, feral, and wild mixed and about to separate them into smaller groups. The only time I really saw any, and it really wasn't aggression, I would say, as much as curiosity. Back when I had dotted whites, um, it seemed like that dot on the back of their head or on the top of their head was a target for other birds to peck at. But I mean, if you keep them on food, always have food in front of them, and obviously fresh water. But um, I don't think any color is going to be more aggressive than another one. I just think that the whites got picked on a little bit more because they had a target on their back, so they got picked on. Steve Deacon says, I was just planning on putting my 5 white females in with a white male, then 2 groups of 4 wilds with 1 male. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's exactly the way I would do it. I wouldn't, unless there was a reason I was mixing pharaohs with the whites. I don't. There would be no need to. Negro Kitty says, I feed my dog raw pork from the grocery store. He loves crunching on the pork bones too. He's a 72-pound Australian Shepherd. Wow. Be giving him quail eggs in the future. Super chats. Thank you, Andy. See, I knew what that was. I just couldn't think of it. That's what happens when you get old. You can't remember words. You know what you want to say. You just can't. You just can't say it. Papa says, in spiral breeding, how often should I rotate roosts? Uh, okay, Papa, you said you were just getting started. Um, that's going to be one of the last things you need to worry about is a spiral breeding program. I did a video on the channel here a while back, probably 2 or 3 years ago, um, on how a spiral breeding program should work. But after talking with Michael and learning about spiral breeding is used as a tool once you get your line or your birds the way you want them. You use spiral breeding as a tool to keep your birds instead of going outside and bringing in new blood. You use the spiral breeding program so you don't lose everything that you've worked so hard to obtain. So think of spiral breeding as a tool. Michael explains all that in the quailology course, by the way. Muriel says, new quail person here. Any tips for keeping quail outside in the winter? I'm afraid to make my hutch with a wire floor for fear of frostbite. Okay, so you're not talking about an aviary style. To be honest with you, that's what I would do. If you have the room to set up an aviary outdoors, I think that would be a lot better than trying to keep a quail on wire. Um, you could do what Chris over at Slightly Redneck does. He's got like a split pen, if that's the way you want to do it. One half is a wire floor, the other half is a sandbox for the birds to go in there and take sand baths. And he hasn't had any issues, with issues like that. As long as you had a way for them to get off the wire, I think they would do just fine. I don't really have to deal with winters much down here, so. But if it was me, I would actually do them on the ground. Muriel says, seems like I may have to race them on the ground. There you go. Ohio winters here. Any advice? Yeah, like I said, I think the ground would be your best option, especially with the aviary. You can kind of dress it up to make it look like you want. Your birds are going to, in my opinion, are going to look a lot better than any caged birds, just because they're not in that contained environment where they're subjected to, over zealous males that want to breed with them every 5 minutes, and kind of tear their feathers up. Papa says I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, just for reference. Okay. Andy Rabbit says for winter, make sure they have a space to get out of the wind or wrap the cage with a tarp. I have a sandbox area they can get out of. I use a dog bowl for water. My quail will take a water bath. Cool. Yeah, good, good info, Andy. I have water floors and have never had a problem. What's a water floor? I've never heard of a water floor. All right, guys, we're down to the bottom of the link. We are going to figure out how to do the thing again, the giveaway. Uh, are you kidding me? I got to go back to the stream here. I already forgot, guys, from because last time I did it, oh, wait a minute. You got to do like a share screen. That's what it was. Remember, guys? It was a share screen. You guys got to remember this stuff for me. Oh, I like the water floors, Sandy. Wire floors. All right, Alyssa the Noodle says during the winter I put my quail in groups on the ground. Once I plan on breeding for color again during the spring and summer, I put them into color groups in their wire setup. There you go. All right, now we have to go with share screen. Okay, StreamYard giveaway tool. All right, if I got to look over at my other computer to make sure that we're actually sharing a screen. So there we go. We are sharing a screen. All right, we're going to choose a live stream, which is Morning Musings. The giveaway will be hashtag hatching time. And we are going to start collecting comments right now. Are you kidding me? Only 3 people entered the hatching time thing? Wow. Okay, and we're going to draw. And it is the winner is going to All Things EDC. All right. We actually did that right. Okay, so we can stop sharing that. And we can go back to our regular screen. Cool, we're there. We did it right, guys. Okay, we're gonna do the. I'm just checking to see if there's any more comments, which there's not. Alyssa the Noodle says, I like the new spin system for the giveaway. Yeah, me too. I think it's a little bit more fair because I can't remember who I. Yeah, I know that was way more. I think that thing is a little bit off, but anyhow, it was way more than 3 people. Cool. All right. Anyhow, for the winners, I need you to send me your shipping information to Terry at coturnixcorner.com. And that was the problem. Not everyone was all one word. You guys got to make sure that it is all one word. But anyhow, you're going to send me your shipping information to Terry at coturnixcorner.com. Make sure I get a good email, a good address, obviously. Your name, like all things EDC. I need your actual name, not your name here on YouTube. Um, what did I say? Everything? Okay. Phone number, email, and good address, and then a good name, obviously. Um, Especially the email, guys. A lot of people don't include the email. They assume that because they sent me the email, I don't need it. I actually need the email in the comments or in the body of the email. So I got you. Just showed the first 3 on screen, which is cool. That's fine with me. Okay, that's fun. I got an email from Hatching Time saying that they have mealworms, so I was going to get an order. There you go. Casella Family Time says I did one word and I didn't see our name in the drawing. Um, did you spell it correctly? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Burial for ground considered barrier wire. Good idea. Very good idea. All right, we are going to go ahead and do the giveaway for the hatching eggs. Um, Real quick, if anybody hasn't commented, hashtag, don't forget the hashtag, go for Ridge, all one word and spelled correctly. Um, then you can get in real quick. Let's see. Share screen, giveaway tool, share. Okay, there is our screen. You should see that pop up any second. And hashtag Gopher Ridge. I'm not going to exclude anybody. Start collecting comments. Gopherridge. Did I spell Gopher Ridge right, guys? I don't know here. It says 0 entries, so back. I must have spelled something wrong. Morning Musings. That's right. Goph. You spelled it. See? Gopher. Gopher Ridge. Okay. Start collecting comments. See, now it's saying there's only 16 entries, but that cannot be right. Anyhow, we're going to do the drawing anyhow. Oh boy, look at all of them. Sexton Outdoors. You won some hatching eggs. All right, stop sharing there. Go back to this screen. That was pretty cool, guys. I like that. Hold on, I'm trying to find out where my last. There it is. Pull that one off. Okay, congratulations, Tater Farm says. We'll try again next week. Absolutely. I'm going to play with this a little bit more on the side and see if I can't get it figured out. Actually, I'm going to talk to Brian because he does it every week on their live stream. Um, Sexton Farm says that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Again, email me, Terry at Coturnix Corner, with all your information. And Necro Kitty says congrats to the winners. Tater Farm says congrats to the winners. Cool. All right, guys. We are down at the bottom of the list on our comments, and it is after 10 o'clock, so I've got to get to work. And me and my wife bought some bikes for our 41st anniversary, and we've been going on bike rides every day. So she wants to go for another bike ride. And man, let me tell you, my legs are out of shape because it took me a while to get comfortable again back on a bicycle. So, but it's fun. All right, guys. Like I said, we are not going live next week Sunday because it's Easter, but we will be going live Tuesday because let me just check the calendar real quick. Let's see. Yes, Earth Day. On the 22nd, we will be going live. Okay, so this Tuesday, no, we're not going live. Well, if we do go live, it won't be with Brian. But the following Tuesday, we will be going live with Brian from Castle Hives. So all you beekeepers and beekeeper wannabes, join us for that live stream. I think it's going to be really interesting. Andy Rabbit says, thanks for the morning chat, Terry. Bye, y'all. Have a great day, Andy. Have a wonderfully productive day. All right. Chantel Williams says, have a nice ride. Thanks, Chantel. We will. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Like I said, we will see you not next week Sunday, but either this coming Tuesday or for sure the following Tuesday. So have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week.